Welcome everyone, my name is Steam and I have something very important to say. Artfight is in less than 2 weeks. For those of you who do not know, Artfight is an annual art gifting game in which artists are separated into teams and are tasked with drawing the original characters, OCs, of the artists on the opposing team. Each attack earns them points and at the end of the month, the team with the most points wins. If you'd like a more in-depth explanation, I'll link several great videos by other artists in the description below. Now, rather than finishing any of my other hundreds of OC reference sheets before July, I decided to make a new character specifically for the event, but only using 5 colors. I'm a part of a Discord server for Australian art fighters, and as a fun challenge to do together, we decided to all create OCs using the same color palette. We voted for palette J, and when I saw it, I knew immediately I had to make a Merfolk character. So began the design process. Color palette J reminded me a lot of a certain species of sea slug I had come across before on Pinterest, a fairy sea slug. These creatures are ethereally beautiful thanks to their translucent pink coloration and petal-like serrata, the fan-shaped things on their backs. Though I was not able to find out whether or not they are actually bioluminescent, they certainly appear to have glowing blue and yellow spots dotted throughout their bodies. Thanks to their naturally magical appearance, these conspicuous sea slugs planted the image of an underwater princess in my brain immediately. I named her Cecilia after their Latin name, Cycerce Elegans. I wanted Cecilia to be a princess, but to not have been born into that life, rather forced into it. So I decided that the government of the underwater kingdom she lives in would be centered around magic. Only 20 merfolk from the entirety of the realm's oceans are born with the ability to cast magic, so those 20 merfolk are seen as worthy to rule, since it is so rare. For hundreds of years, the kingdom has enforced the tradition of taking those 20 merfolk from their families and forcing them to serve in the palace of the kingdom, far from their homes, whether they like it or not. And Cecilia does not. She does not like it one bit. To be honest, a lot of this idea actually came from watching Instagram reels with the viral audio from the Village People song In the Navy. I just couldn't stop imagining Cecilia saying, "What am I gonna do as a princess?" as she is dragged away to the palace. Inspiration can truly come from the unlikeliest of places. But I'm afraid of deep water. Okay, I'll stop. Cecilia was born poor, but is not thrilled at the idea of living in the palace for several reasons. Reason number 1 is that not all of the magic-wielding merfolk get to stay in the palace as royalty. At the end of their first year, if their performance is deemed lacking, they and 9 others are sent out on missions throughout the kingdom where they are deemed most useful. Cecilia's powers are focused around light, so she would be sent to the depths of the trench where all the scary sea creatures live, and where it is always dark, which terrifies her. Reason number 2 is that Cecilia loves her family and misses them very much. Her family do not resemble her though. Cecilia looks like a Cycerce Elegans because she was born with the ability to cast magic. Her family members look more like Circe nigricans, so it was no wonder that they were not able to hide it forever, considering their different coloration. Speaking of colors, let's talk about the design and the color challenge itself. A big inspiration for Cecilia's design was actually another member of the server, Moonio. He is really good at incorporating aquatic animal features into his characters without making the designs overwhelming. I definitely tried to take a page out of his book while keeping Cecilia uniquely in my own, and I think I succeeded at that. Moonio's links will be in the description below. Anyway, because Cycerce Elegans are from the Pacific, I based her facial features around those of indigenous Polynesian communities, such as the Kanaka Maoli. However, I did not include any aspect of their cultural clothing, as Cecilia's clothing is not from her own culture. She wears the formal robes of a princess of the palace. Because she wears them out of obligation and not out of desire, I colored her dress using the blue and yellow side of the color palette, avoiding her natural pink skin tone to reinforce that these clothes were not designed for her. The exception to this is her jacket and belt, as while I was trying to balance my use of colors, I found I needed some pink to break up the blue and yellow. Still, I made sure to use the lighter 2 shades of pink from the palette to maintain the contrast between her skin and clothing that I was looking for. In her universe, her species of merfolk does not often get magic uses, so her crown is also intentionally heavy. It is meant to look uncomfortable, especially pushed against the 4 feelers on her forehead. Cecilia's tabard is embroidered with an image of the palace, with the trench walls the palace bridges between nestled in separate sections to either side of the garment. Below the palace is a depiction of the kingdom's throne, and above it, 20 circles representing the 20 magical merfolk. Her clothing also incorporates netting, some of which is connected to her arm cuffs. These symbolize how she feels trapped in her new role. The cuffs only add to this, resembling manacles and restricting her movement. As part of the challenge, we were allowed to use darker and lighter shades of the color palette, so I used shades of the yellow to create a faded metallic grey. For Cecilia's body, I wanted to make her look as much like her namesake as I could, without straying from the color palette. I kept her skin exclusively pink, save for her blue and yellow spots which serve as accents in her design. I particularly like the spots going across her nose and cheeks. They give her such a friendly look, and the one under her chin makes her look like Padme Amidala. Her Cycerce serve as her ears and hair. The ones where her ears should be resemble butterfly wings, and the ones behind her head are sort of scrunched together in the middle, held in place by the net coming from the ends of her crown. In order to resemble the translucency of the Cycerce Elegans, I coloured Cecilia's skin at 75% opacity. Over the top of this, for extra colour variation, I added little bits of pink, blue and lilac at 45% opacity and blurred them to give her skin and Cycerce some subtle gradients. Finally, I gave her sharp nails and teeth to give her design a bit of an edge. Nothing's set in stone yet, but I'm considering a villain arc for her further down the line, so those traits will help with that. I made her nails yellow for a bit more contrast and made her cast a ball of light from her hand as a demonstration of how her magic works. And that's my color palette character, done and dusted and ready to join her fellow man, merfolk, as Princess Cecilia of Elegans. Thank you so much for watching. I promise I'll get to part 2 of the Australian Digital Circus. I'm just taking a quick break for Artfight, but trust I am excited to share the rest of the AU with you all soon. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, and for more Artfight content, subscribe. I have a lot of attacks planned for this year. No one is safe. And if you liked an aspect of Cecilia's design or even have ideas about her lore, drop a comment below. I would love to expand the world she lives in, but now it's time for the steam train to leave the station. Farewell!